All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 4th, 26 Governance and Priorities Committee meeting. I feel like this chair is getting very familiar. I think 3 of the last 4, but Mayor Choi has returned, so he'll be back here next Monday, hopefully.
Hopefully. Maybe not.
So with that, I'll call the meeting to order. Members of council, there is an agenda before you. Administration, do we have anything to add to the agenda?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Nothing to add.
Thank you very much. Councillor Palechko with the motion, please.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. That the May 4th, 2026 Governance and Priorities Committee meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you very much. Call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Moving on, the next section of our agenda is the public input session. This is a time where we allow members of the public to speak to council about anything that is not on the current agenda. Administration, has anyone registered to speak this evening?
Through Deputy Mayor, no one has registered.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak to council on anything that is not on the current agenda? Seeing no one, we will proceed flying right through into number 4, presentations and delegations, which again tonight we have none. I think last GMP was enough presentations to fill for a bit. No donkey in chambers this evening, though. The donkey in chambers seems to always be entertaining. So moving on, number 5, we have the adoption of the last Governance and Priorities Committee meeting minutes. Councillor Loynes with the motion, please.
That the April 7th, 2026 Governance and Priorities Committee meeting minutes be approved as presented.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Members of council, you've had an opportunity to review the minutes. Any errors or omissions? Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Just administrative error here under 4.2 and then further down 6.3, the spelling of the word quarterly next to RCMP quarterly update. Missing a letter.
Excellent. Good catch. Thank you very much. And so we will look at the motion as amended. Councillor Loynes, is that acceptable? Wonderful. Any other errors or omissions? Yep. Mayor Choi.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. No errors or omissions, just a comment. I just want to say on behalf of members of council and definitely our administration and those that were participating, watching through the town's YouTube. Out of my 18 years on council, that was the most entertaining governance and priorities meeting that we've had in forever. And it's good to have that kind of humor, kind of a little show. It's just showing what community groups that we have in our community that provide so much for our students, our children, and our residents as well. So definitely, out of 18 years, that was the most fun and factual one that I've received. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the comments. Councillor Niebergall.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Also in 4.2, can we double check the spelling of sergeant?
Noted.
We will make those changes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any others? Seeing no more, we'll call the question as amended. All those in favor? And that is carried. On to our business items this evening. This is where we have our heavy part of the agenda this Monday. And so we are looking at 4 different items. We will begin with the Municipal Development Plan and the Old Town Community Plan update. Administration, please proceed when you're ready to do so.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your Deputy Mayor. My apologies. Very excited here to bring this presentation to council and the general public. This is a near and dear project to my heart. I've been with the town for 14 years and actually started doing the MDP we currently have in effect. I was the intern back in the day doing this. So to be able to redo it again is very exciting. So again, this is a combined Municipal Development Plan and Old Town Community Plan update project. So I guess I foreshadowed a bit here, but in 2013, there was a full rewrite of the... My apologies again, now that we're seeing the slides as I have them up here. So again, 2013, we did a full rewrite. We had a variety of community parties, got some information from the community, and wrote that into a brand-new standalone plan, combining a community sustainability plan with the provincial regulations of a municipal development plan under a uniquely Stony Plain. And since then, we've updated it in both 2020 and 2024. Ultimately, it sets the community vision and the policies for the community, as well as some land use policies. And in particular, right now, in the last 14 years, the community conditions have definitely changed. The MRB is no longer with us. So regionally, it has also changed quite a lot. In terms of the other major update as part of this project is the Old Town Community Plan. This here actually came after the most recent MDP update. In 2019, this plan was created. It really guides the redevelopment of the heart, the cultural and commercial heart of Stony Plain, so our Main Street and surrounding communities, Old Town South, those areas. And again, over the last almost, 7-8 years here, there's been a lot of investment already in that area, and there's a lot of potential for its future. So just making sure that all those things that we want to accomplish as a community are in there, and that the plan is up to date to support those endeavors into the future. So the plan for the project is over 2026 and 2027 is to update both those two plans to ensure that the policies, the plans, and the strategies remain current and align with other documents that we have, both internal and external priorities and conditions, and ultimately align with the values our community has. The third part of this project is an emphasis on the opportunities and redevelopment of Old Town South, and broadly speaking, sort of the implementation of the Old Town Community Plan. So again, just looking at this at the highest level in terms of our goals, it's to establish a long-range vision and policy framework that balances both growth, infrastructure, and community well-being while respecting Stony Plain's unique character. Again, hence the uniquely Stony Plain. And establishing a clear, cohesive statutory planning framework that reflects both Stony Plain's evolving community values and reflects and forms the consistent land use and growth decisions to ensure that they are aligned and to make sure that the priorities of both council, administration, and our various stakeholders and interested parties are aligned. Third, it creates a detailed plan and design for Old Town South that provides a clear path forward to guide future planning, development, and infrastructure decisions, recommendations, and actions into the surrounding areas. So before you, we have part of our strategic planning framework. This is a pyramid that is often referred to internally and somewhat externally that shows at the very top the MDP as a 30-year vision and how the focus area is often how the community interacts with administration and council, and ultimately goes down through the council's strategic plan, which again is a 4-year, kind of a goals-oriented plan, leads into the 3 to 10-year administrative corporate plan, and then down into department business plans and master plans. Looking at it a slightly different way, but similar, again, we've kind of have the MDP, or the municipal development plan, that sets the themes and the strategy for our vision. Ultimately, it's the strategic plan that has various commitments and key actions to advance and enable our vision. This leads down into the corporate plan, which is our administrative action plan and resource alignment to council's vision, and ultimately actions that vision. And then yearly, and I think tonight we have an update on this, is we do quarterly and annual plan updates to measure and monitor the progress of reaching this vision. One of my favorite slides that we bring, I think, every time I'm here, is the land use planning framework in Stony Plain. So this actually was derived, it was originally conceived actually when the original MDP was done. It's evolved a little bit since then. But ultimately, we're looking at kind of the 3 middle phases there. So the municipal planning, neighborhood design, and land development. The reason that it covers all 3 of these is the first part really looks at the municipal development plan, the entire municipality. Then moves into the neighborhood design, which is the Old Town Community Plan. Ultimately, it's a neighborhood plan for our downtown core. And then with the implementation of that plan, we're getting down to land development and potentially even site development a little bit. So getting into the first part here, the one that we're starting right now, is the municipal development plan update. There are a series of interconnected and iterative phases that allow for reflection. We're going to undertake the work. So basically, we're going through by defining our goals and outcomes, working through some background research, exploring land use and growth management options, and ultimately engaging the community and stakeholders. We'll be validating the feedback that we hear from the community, confirming those outcomes, and then reevaluating the vision and themes of the current to make sure they're either the same as they were, or bringing them up to whatever our modern standard is in terms of our community engagement and the feedback we hear. Updating the community and land use policies, validating the conceptual outline and framework, ensuring that what we did here makes sense from a structural standpoint, and then ultimately drafting, revising, and adopting that plan with council's approval. In terms of the highlights, May is the kickoff for the project that we're starting now with this presentation. And we would be starting engagement events in June. Work will continue throughout 2026 and moving into 2027 for this project. In terms of the next steps, we will continue and then complete Part 1, the Municipal Development Plan update, throughout this quarter here of 2026 into 2027. Part 2, in terms of starting the Old Town Community Plan update, will start approximately Q3, so later this year in 2026, and would be finished again in 2027. And then the implementation of that, or the work on Old Town South, would be work into 2027. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions or comments. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the presentation. Council, floor is open for questions of clarity or understanding on the presentation. Councillor Plechko.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, administration, for the wonderful 200-plus page read. It helped me to remind myself of some of the things that you sometimes forget are important within your community, because there's so many things that are important to your community, and you forget a little bit over the past 9 years of what that looks like. I'm glad to see that we're including our residents again in this discussion. I think that's very important. We have a lot of new people within our community and a lot of new ideas. One of the things that come to mind as I read through that plan was, so often when I walk around town in past elections, we hear we're segregated. We're not part of the community. Even though Stony Plain is a community of whole, quite often people in different areas feel they're not included. And I'm just wondering how we would be able to include that when we're talking specifically about the Old Town South Plan. How do we engage our people within the community to make them feel that there's something important for them to attract them to the Old Town South, as well as something for them in each of their areas?
Good.
Through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Plechko and all of Council, there's a variety of different ways to do engagement. Sometimes we do it more directly, sometimes more indirectly. I guess where I would go is, specifically for the MDP, maybe as a starting point, is we're intending to do community parties. So this is something that we did back in 2013. These were in neighborhoods. They were promoted kind of in the neighborhood, social media, and other ways as well. But ultimately, the idea was to go into each neighborhood so that each area and all of our residents could be engaged directly, as opposed to just, say, a survey via the website, via social media, those sort of things. So I think one of the key aspects to get at what you were getting at there was to actually engage directly. Again, you can do things like door knocking and things like that that are a little bit more intensive. But ultimately, I think it's a matter of being able to talk face-to-face with residents and really get their input on stuff.
Thank you. Further? No? Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, Administration, for the presentation. Apologize that I'm giggling already, but I'm reading the update on the update about the update that's going to bring the update to the MDP plan and the Old Town Community Plan. For clarity, and I think us here at the table certainly appreciate where this is going, but we do see the word update and update and update on the update several times here. And so this evening, the update is just that we're planning an update to the MDP and Old Town Community Plan that will bring updates to those documents that had already been updated in 2020 and 2024 with minor updates. I know that's a lot of updates, but just again, for public clarity, we don't have the update before us. This is just informing us about what that process will look like.
Through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Anderson. Yes, you are correct. Maybe a way to rephrase this is we're here to introduce the project that would lead to a new municipal development plan and Old Town Community Plan and the implementation of that new Old Town Community Plan.
Perfect. That makes a ton of sense. And I like the idea of introduce the project. And I did, when I read through the first time, got a little bit lost in the updates, but appreciate the clarity. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. In a document that was written, I think 14 years ago, as it was started to be worked on, I would say there would definitely be many opportunities for updates. And so glad that we've had those over the time and that we're looking at a new rewrite here. Mayor Choi.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and definitely appreciated the question that was asked by Councilor Pletchko and then the answer by administration that there'd be a lot of community engagement. I think around this chambers, I think there's only 5 of us that were part of the original municipal development plan that was completed back in 2013. And that opportunity to engage the residents is why our community feels cohesive, feels like it's a like-minded kind of conversation going forward as a community, and it's not disjointed. And so my question to that is, with those community engagements, will there be opportunity for council to kind of sit in on them and kind of talk to the residents as well as we did in the past in 2012 and 2013?
The Deputy Mayor to the Mayor and all of council, definitely. I guess is what I would say is, again, these are public events that we'll be hosting. I would expect we would inform council of the dates of all these events and where they're taking place, and that definitely enjoy having councillors around, being able to support those events while we gather feedback from our residents.
Okay, thank you for updating me on that update, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other members of council? Seeing none, just a simple comment from me in reviewing the MDP and our kind of 5 themes and all the directions that are listed. It is actually impressive when you take the time to look at the work that has been done under each one of those directions over the course of these last 10 to 15 years. It is relatively impressive how far along the town has come, to the point where, frankly, some of these are no longer relevant because we don't need to prepare for transit, as we already have transit now. And so it is understanding what's next for things like transit. But then there are relatively ongoing ones like our open spaces and parks, and understanding how those will continue as we move on and as we grow. And so, while I expect there will be significant changes to the MDP, when I went through this, I kind of went, absolutely, you could update this with all new directions that would just reflect where we are today and where we will be going over the next 30 years and where we believe to be going the next 30 years. So as we look at our guiding documents and as we talk about it, again, if anyone out there has a couple hours that they want to fill, there's 75 pages of a wonderful MDP plan here that if you've been in this community for any amount of time, you probably have had the opportunity to witness it in action. And it's a really great example as to how the work of administration and the decisions of council do all come forward in that pyramid, as you referenced earlier. So thank you very much for that presentation this evening. Looking for one last opportunity for any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will go to Mayor Choi for the motion, please.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I make a motion that we accept the municipal development plan and Old Town Community Plan update to be accepted for information.
Thank you very much, Mayor Choi. Any debate or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, called to question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Next item on our agenda is the 2026 first quarter report. Administration, please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. For Council's consideration this evening, we've included the first quarter report, which takes into consideration January to the end of March operational activities, including summation of outcomes and qualitative impacts that have been provided related to services across the organization delivered to the community. And we've provided a summary of those items for your consideration. I will just highlight as well that in addition to sharing this information this evening with council, we will also be posting the quarterly report on our website, and we will be sharing some of this information and some of the key updates throughout the community and our social media posts over the next few months, just to highlight the report and some of the key impacts that have been noted within there. I will just reference, you did receive a printed copy of a minor omission that we didn't include in the report on page 253. I'll just reference the Enforcement Services summary data that was provided. On the left-hand side, there is a summary of incidents that have been noted through our Enforcement Services. The information that's provided is a summation of our Q1 2026 incidents, and we missed the comparative data for 2025, which has been provided in a printed version, and we will update that and include that in the online version that will be available for the public going forward as well. So with that, Deputy Mayor, happy to answer any questions from council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, you've had the opportunity to review the first quarter report. Looking for any questions or comments in regards to it. Mayor Choi.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and appreciate the report in our council package. Definitely good to see everything that's happened over the last couple of months. Just some questions for clear understanding. Looking at page 245 of 355. So again, I'll ask a question in terms of the business license renewal data. It's good to see that we have an increase year over year. Again, can administration provide how many businesses that we actually lost, like minus business license, and then how many we gained? I know we have a 5%. So we're talking about, the reason I want to know that, Deputy Mayor, is in terms of retention in our community and their business.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know there is a section here on our business retention and expansion program, but we'll look to see if there's any response from administration.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through your worship to all of council as well. The data that we've provided is just a snapshot of the business license renewals and registrations that have been provided for 2026, but certainly I will follow up with administration to find out if we can provide further information with regards to some of the retention data points. We may or may not have that available in our current system, but I'll certainly follow up with council by email to verify if that is available. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I appreciate that. And definitely, as a member of council, having new businesses coming into our community is great for our community and for the services provided to residents, but also to make sure that we're able there to provide support to the existing businesses. And sometimes there are things that we can't do, but what are there, if there are things that we can do as a municipality to assist those businesses that are currently here to remain in Stony Plain is an asset to us as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mayor Choi. Any other members of council? Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It was just in regards to the sheet that we had received with the comparisons for Q1 summary activities based upon the information on page 253. Would administration be able to identify why we've seen such increases in several of the areas, such as animals and public behavior, traffic control, things like that?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Wines, certainly, if you notice, community standards were substantially down. That had a lot to do with weather, not a lot of snow and ice in the first quarter of this year. Certainly, that allows us to free up our time to move on to other files too. With the warmer weather, you certainly do see a lot more related to animals. A lot more people are out and about, so they're paying more attention to those types of things. Traffic. we put a little bit more time into traffic, certainly. We've had more time for our members to be out with more than one person on a shift at a particular time. So we've done quite a few, and we've done quite a few of those joint patrols with RCMP, Sheriff, and other CPO groups from the region too. So just a little bit more activity, plus we've been able to redirect some of our focus areas just because we're not having those high incidences on the community standards bylaw.
Thank you very much. Any others? Councillor Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and thank you to administration for the report this evening. A couple of things I always love seeing around youth engagement and volunteerism and, our mental wellness initiatives and those sorts of things, which are absolutely critical. And so just continued appreciation for seeing those here. I do have a couple of questions this evening. The first is on page 252 of our agenda package. This is specific to our fire department response breakdown. And I noted under rescues, last year we had 0 in Q1, this year 8. I'm going to take this as an opportunity for me to learn what exactly a rescue would entail. And through you, Deputy Mayor, just look to administration for an indication, one, what is included in a rescue, and two, why we might see a jump there year over year.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Anderson. Certainly MVC, if you notice a line above, that would be anything related to a motor vehicle, rescue, collision, incident related to a motor vehicle. The rescues below would be anything that could go from someone stuck in an elevator to ice rescue. So if someone's out on a pond, we have to go out and collect or get them back off the ice. Another rescue could be someone's down a ravine. We might have to go back down with ropes and get them back up from. So there's a number of things that we might do related to a rescue. Certainly, I don't have the details as to what all 8 of those rescues may have been. Likely, and I'm not going to guess. So I can certainly get back to council with respect to what those 8 were compared to the 0 in the previous year.
Thank you for the comments there. I think one, I was looking for my own understanding. 2, I think it's an opportunity for us to highlight some of the work that our fire department does. I, heard that these are things that require some specialized skill, whether that's ice rescue or, I guess, high angle maybe. I guess if we're up in a tree, I think that would be a high angle rescue. Is this something that's a trend that we need to watch, or is this just sort of an anomaly from Q1 last year to this year?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Anderson, certainly something we would look at the 3 to 5 year trend to see if that's something or just a spike. So certainly we would dig back into more quantitative data in order for us to say it's a trend. It certainly could be a spike. Over the 3-year average, we might have 4, so it might have been at 50% and might be something that just happened during that time. With respect to high angle, I did hear you mention that. That's pretty specialized. We don't really have people that are trained with the high angle, so we would likely call someone in from the City of Edmonton or the like to come out and assist us with that. That being said, we do have a ladder truck. If our ladder truck can reach, and we can certainly do some rescue related to that, we would do that with the ladder truck.
Perfect, thank you, and certainly an opportunity for learning for me. I do have one more question here, Mr. Deputy Mayor, if I may. Thank you. Page 258, this is our financial services update. Certainly, I think council, not counselor, has had, several updates on some of these numbers here, but just to sort of put it into the public conversation, when we look at these numbers and we see the increase in outstanding debt from last year in the unaudited statements to the projected balance at the end of this year, I know we've had several capital projects and so on, whether that's cemetery or public works or recreation center. But I think as, for residents, it can be a little bit disconcerting when we see numbers, that are $30 million, year to year. So I just wanted to point that one out, and we'll look to administration for some comments here in a second. Certainly our operating reserves, we've seen a reduction there in the neighborhood of $7 million as well. And the interesting thing for me was our service debt limit available didn't change as much as I maybe would have expected, given the outstanding debt number changes. And so I do point a couple of those things out, but we'll look for administration through you, Deputy Mayor, just for some general comments on the town finances. I know we had the auditor in recently, and from an audit perspective, felt that things look good and our debt service ratios and so on look good in his perspective to comparable municipalities. But we'll look, Mr. Deputy Mayor, to administration for some general comments on our fiscal health as an organization, and a specific comment on the debt servicing numbers in relation to the increase in outstanding debt.
Thank you very much, administration. If you could provide some commentary.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Anderson and all of council. I'll start just on the reserve section. So you noted a decrease in the reserves. I will note that the ending balance for 2025 does also include any carried forward items, and there were a few motions that were put forth in front of council in March, early March, just in regards to, for example, the rec center. So we have been progressively putting that into the tax rate, however, have not pulled all of the debentures as of December 31st, so we put that money away. So that's why you're seeing higher numbers at 2025. However, those are committed in 2026 to do the debt servicing, et cetera, and so that is most of why you're seeing such a large decrease from that. On the debt limit side, I will have to get back to you on the servicing piece, because that does look odd, but I just have to double check the calculations behind the scenes, and I can send an update to council on that. However, I will discuss just the debt limit available. So similar to what I touched on already, some of the debt bylaws that have come before council, or one debt bylaw for sure that has come before council, was the rec center. We were awaiting to see what the grant, if a grant was awarded or not. We did that through 2 draws rather than 1 draw. And so as a result, we have not drawn the second $15 million. And so projected to the end of 2026 will be progress on that facility has continued, and that debenture will be required to be drawn, which is why you'll see that debt limit going down.
I do have a follow-up, if I may, Deputy Mayor. Appreciate the comments on the debt limit servicing, or the service on debt limit available. We did, about a year ago, maybe 18 months, have a bit of a conversation about how those that are tuning in, or those in the public that watch this later, receive those updates. And certainly I can appreciate that update can come to council, but I will, through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, whether that's to our town manager, CAO, or another member of our senior leadership team, just any updates on that conversation. How could a resident who's watching receive that same update that council will receive related to the debt limit available in this regard?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Essentially, if there was somebody watching and we respond with, we'll get back to council on that one. The simplest, easiest way is to just email into, I believe it's our legislative services email address. Just indicate I was watching on this particular night, something, and we would just provide the same response directly to any request that came in that way.
Thank you, and if I may, just a quick response. Haven't thought this one through, but just as engaging in the conversation this evening, I don't know if there's a place for this in our agenda, but wonder, sort of an old business update or something like that, where that update can be read into a live streamed and recorded meeting of council so that it's available to the public. I don't know if that would be acceptable to council or administration, but just something that I know I've seen old business on a number of other agendas and committees that I participate in, and can't help but wonder if that's an opportunity for us to read these updates into the public realm.
Perfect, thank you. And I would encourage as well, if residents do have something that they've noted in a meeting that an update has been committed to council, they absolutely feel free to reach out to all members of council or any member of council. We'd be happy to provide that to them as well. CAO, was there more commentary, or are we good to move to next questions? Okay, Councillor Niebergall.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just, I don't need to preface this because my every day here is a day of learning, but I'm going to jump on Councillor Anderson's question there to administration. So is 8 rescues, 8 separate rescues, or like 8 people got stranded on the ice?
Go ahead.
Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Niebergall, that would be 8 separate incidences. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pletchko?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. You're going to be surprised at my questions around accessible transportation and the transportation system. As I read through this, this will be through to administration. As I read through this, I marvel at a bit of the numbers that are showing as to what it is. And what keeps coming back to mind is a couple of comments that I hear from time to time sitting, my wife takes a bus into Spruce Grove and into the city, sitting around the parking lot, talking to some of the people that are getting on and off the buses. My question around that is, has our administration spent time with the city of Spruce Grove to address the overcrowding on the buses? Quite often I'm told from time to time, and even seeing it when they get off the buses, they're standing in the wheel wells, and I'm just wondering how safe that is when they're traveling up and down the highways in the situation at, most of the stuff is at 110 plus kilometers, and soon to be maybe 120 on some of the highways in town. So I'm just wondering, is there a conversation being had to address the overcrowding on the buses?
Thank you. Administration?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Pletchko, absolutely there is. The staff from each Parkland County, Stony Plains, Spruce Grove meet monthly to discuss transit. And that topic itself has come up with respect to enhancements to the 560 route to add capacity, because it is getting to a point where people are standing right from the East Transit Link all the way into a location in the city of Edmonton and until the bus clears, and then you get a seat. So certainly it's a common practice, I think, with transit in terms of standing. We agree that the distance to travel on Highway 16 is something we need to be paying attention to. And so through the corporate plan process, there's likely you'll see some adjustments to the 560 route in terms of increasing the ability for people to sit on that particular route. It is becoming a busier route. There's future discussion about potentially moving a second route to Lewis Estates once that starts to expand out, and the LRT directly to the University of Alberta, because we do have a lot of students on there. A lot of them do go into Edmonton, jump on the LRT, and go to the University of Alberta from the Nate Grant McEwen aspect of the LRT. So certainly there's a lot of conversation being had. We do have a council session on June 2nd where we can speak some more about this directly with you.
If I could, Deputy. Good. So just for clarity, what I'm looking for is specifics. You made mention that it's common for people to stand on buses. Now I know it's common within the city of Edmonton, and that is allowed. I'm just wondering, is that common on a standard highway? Because I know on a bus that transports students, that is not allowed. So if you could maybe, if you can't answer that, if you could just send clarity to council through an email so that we have a bit of an understanding whether that's acceptable or not.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Pletchko, I honestly can't answer that question. With respect to, I do appreciate the difference between a yellow school bus and a commuter or a transit bus. So I'm not up to speed 100% on exactly what the laws are related to that. Certainly we can reach out and get those questions answered and get something back to you.
Appreciate that. And if I could, one more.
Yep.
Thank you. So my next question is around accessible transportation. And when I look at the numbers for January, February, and March, pretty much an increase in all of Stony Plain, all of this other Edmonton, with a slight decrease in Spruce Grove for the first 2 months, but then a big increase. Now I understand that the weather probably had a lot to do with that. And when it's snowy out, people don't want to travel that much. But one of the things I hear around the community a fair bit is that we don't have enough buses to cover that service for people. Is there any plans going forward to put something in place that will make that more accessible for our residents and the tri-region?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Paletzko. Certainly, and included in our corporate plan, we do have the provisions, and we have forecasted the need for an additional unit, so a bus, and additional driving resources. So again, you'll see that through the corporate plan. I believe it was in the last iteration. It was just scaled out beyond the current year of 2026.
Thank you. Mayor Choi.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm looking on page 246. I just wonder if administration can provide some insight on the microsite for economic development. You know, I'm a fairly slow reader, as English is not my second language, but looking at the microsite analytics, the average time for 2026 is 12 seconds. The news users were fairly large, almost double, and also repeat, and the conversations were considerably more. But when I pull up that site, it takes me more than 12 seconds to look at the site and decipher that. So can administration provide some clarity on that? Because if somebody's looking at the site for 12 seconds, how are they knowing exactly where to hit?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through to your worship and all of council. I can double check the numbers on that. I will just reference, though, much of the noted increase that is seen within the 2026 results is related to some campaigns and profiles that we did and that were advertised and promoted related to some folks within our business community that we were doing sector profiles for. So a number of those led to a specific landing page and some direct profile information. So that may be part of the rationale as to drawing those folks in through those promoted campaigns that we were running during that window of time, as opposed to folks that were organically going to visit our site looking for information. So that would be the one rationale that I would offer, but I can also follow up and just validate the information as well for council.
Okay, thank you, Deputy. I appreciate the follow-up later. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for administration? Seeing none, I do have a few myself. Going back to page 252, and this is in respect to the fire services. I noticed that there's a significant change in the number of medical calls, particularly in service to Parkland County. We also have been hearing about the potential changes coming to other area fire services in respect to their current integrated service and the potential of a change to the way that medical services are being handled. I also know in the past we've had some different policies and considerations between both ourselves and Parkland County as to what level of medical response we do provide within the community, given that it's not in the current mandate, nor is it paid for by Alberta Health Services or the province of Alberta. I'm just wondering if you can speak a little bit to the increase in the number of medical calls we've seen and any particular trends or levels in which we're servicing at.
Through yourself, Mr. Deputy Mayor, certainly that there's a bit of a spike in Parkland County for sure. I don't have the details of exactly what those 20 calls made up. Definitely, Parkland County has a bit of a different structure to us. They're more on the elevated call level. That being said, they're part of the MFR program also. Part of the MFR program is if an ambulance is 15 minutes, more than 15 minutes away, they typically ask for a fire to support that response to that medical. We'd certainly have to go back to the chief and ask exactly what those calls encountered. They could have been that 15 minutes. Certainly, usually, the trend is Parkland County is on the lower side of the medical, and we're a bit where we are trending at this point. I would say we've done a lot of work related to our MFR in terms of making sure we're going to those high calls where bad outcomes can happen if we don't get a responder there as quickly as possible. Lift assist, those types of things, we're starting to look at those as terms of, is there another option? Definitely when you mentioned the integrated model, the province is negotiating with those that have integrated models right now in terms of the price to offer that service or what they're prepared to pay for that particular service. What that'll do to ourselves as a fire department that doesn't have that integrated in the future, I'm not sure. I think we have to wait the next 10 days, I think is when a lot of that information may come out between the province and those integrated services in terms of perhaps who's accepted the offer or the parameters that the province has put in play, or if they've negotiated a completely different deal. I know City of Spruce Grove is an integrated department. I know they're working quite feverishly last week with respect to what they're anticipating over the next 10 days to happen. I honestly don't know the details of what that might be and what that might result in. Certainly if it does revert to not a lot of integrated departments, there's going to be a different operating model. It will be a contracted model that goes out, and we've seen associated ambulances rolling around, and typically they're just doing transfers. They're not doing a lot of response. So I don't know if they would be leaned on as that third party or the backfill or the gap fill for AHS or EHS, I think they're calling themselves now, related to the loss of the fire services. Really not well versed on what would happen with respect to that, but I certainly think it would be a different model. How it'll impact us, I'm not sure. I don't think it should impact us simply because we're on the MFR program. I don't think that's changed. We haven't received any correspondence that would suggest that we would have to change that program or be elevated, or there would be an expectation that we provide more service to EHS. The only thing that we've received lately is our firefighters are not able to drive EHS vehicles from an insurance perspective. That's it. So, and that's an operational change for them, and it's no impact to us. We were basically allowing or sending firefighters with ambulances if we were requested or asked, but their insurance policy has basically said that's not a no-go anymore. So we've just adjusted our operational strategies to reflect that. So at this point, I think our MFR program and the way that we currently handle it, we will continue status quo with that. If we were to see catastrophic changes related to the integrated model and the changes that the province might start to encounter with a decline in that integrated model, we would certainly be having more conversation at this level to understand how deep we would be prepared to go with respect to the safety of our community and the impact on our fire response related to that safety.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And again, recognizing if there is a change to the integrated service in the community next door, that could change the response times for ambulances, which may lean on our MFR a little heavier. But again, that's potential outcomes, and we have to wait to see how that shakes out to understand that. It would be interesting to understand a little bit more in depth on the medical calls as to the acuities that we're seeing, whether this is strictly an increase in the number of high acuity calls, and understanding whether that may point to any other trends that we may need to consider. But again, that's just some further information. Continuing on that trend, actually, page 270 references a windstorm that came through town, and it talks about number, I think it was 7 downed mature trees. It touches a little bit on further work on the downed trees, but funny enough, on page 252, they reference an exercise that was held in Q1 about a summer storm coming through and knocking down several mature trees throughout the community. What I'm wondering is, what pre-work are we doing, or what preventative measures are we doing in respect to large, mature, and potentially unhealthy trees in the community in order to actually mitigate the risk, given the number of high wind events we seem to be increasing year over year?
To Deputy Mayor Noel, Council, our horticulture team does do, I'll call them, regular inspections through our community, in the sense that if they're notified by residents of concerned trees or tree stands, they go in and look at them. They'll talk with the residents about the concerns, and if there is something that's valid, that they will address them. There are instances where where the town's crews will leave they'll pare back a number of older trees, perhaps they're older or dead, and they'll pare them down so that they can be naturalized into the environment. Those areas are known to the crews, and from time to time they will go check in on them. They also do respond to resident concerns if there's a buildup of debris in one location. That can be either from natural reasons, maybe maybe there's just a natural accumulation of materials, and if there's concerns brought forward either by the residents themselves or other external factors, they can address them. Occasionally, we'll have near schools, we will find accumulation for pre-built structures is what I'll call them by some of the local kids, and we will address them as well. I wouldn't say that there's they're not going to every tree and inspecting its structural stability, but from time to time, if they are notified or if they're noticing something, they will address it on a case by case.
Thank you, appreciate that. And I'm wondering if you could provide some commentary in timeline as to when a tree is identified and when it may be brought down for safety reasons. And I bring forward an example. Along Golf Course Road by the High Park subdivision, there's a very dead coniferous tree that has been marked with spray paint for quite some time, which I believe would be an indication that that tree is to come down. What would be the typical timeline once a tree has been identified to when the tree is actually removed?
Through Deputy Mayor to all of council, I'd have to take that particular one back. I'm not familiar with the exact circumstances of the marking or the timeline. It's been my experience, and I don't have an exact timeline for each circumstance, but I do know if they identify a tree that's at risk of any sort of issue with property or people, they will address it quite expeditiously. I wouldn't say that's more than a couple of days, but if there's ones that they are, like I said, they're proactively inspecting and they identify them, and again, this might be a circumstance where there's a program in place and they're individually going through them, it could be a different timeline than that. Threats to public safety are often addressed much more promptly.
Excellent, thank you. I appreciate that, and I do bring that one forward as it is directly adjacent to private property as well as the roadway, and so as a potential threat to endangerment of the public, I would say that it would be a high priority, but I can make sure to follow up in an email for the exact location on that one.
Deputy Mayor, just quickly, just wanted to make one comment for council's clarity, and again, from time to time for perhaps the public that are watching. I believe, unless I'm corrected by our general manager, we were speaking specifically in this instance about town trees on town property, parks, roadways, so on and so forth. Again, public or private trees, for the most part, I mean, that's left to the landowner, the property owner to assess strength, so on and so forth. I do know from time to time, our staff will, if asked, they'll come take a quick look at a private tree and say, oh, yeah, that one's in pretty rough shape, but everything that our general manager was speaking to was just specifically about town-owned trees.
Yep, absolutely. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. The last question I have, referencing page 255, I do have a few questions on transit. The first question I have for the graph in the top right of the page, it says Stony Plain rider statistics, and then it has an asterisk. And in the underneath the chart, it says includes weekday enhanced service and Sunday service for Spruce Grove. I'm just curious, for our Stony Plain rider statistics being included in the weekday enhanced and Sunday service in Spruce Grove, is this tracking Stony Plain residents that are using the service in Spruce Grove on those days that it is only available in Spruce Grove?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I'm just trying to go through the conversations I've had over the last week because I did have that same question, so just give me a moment to recall that.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, while we're waiting, it's okay if I ask a question?
If it's not for the same general manager, because that's why I didn't continue, because they were. If you have one for another general manager or for the CAO, absolutely.
This might be for the same general manager, so I'll wait.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. If I may address the question that was previous in regards to page 258 regarding the debt limit, I would like to go through that. So just in regards to debt limit, there are two pieces that go into the debt limit calculation. So first of all, I have verified that the debt servicing calculation was correct, but I just want to explain why it shows or looks odd. And so the first part of the debt limit calculation is a certain percentage of our revenue, so 1.5 times or 150% of our revenue is what our debt limit is. That's regarding how much debt we can take. The second part of the calculation regarding servicing is actually 25% of our total revenue annually. And so both of these conditions need to be met, however, they are independent. So I'll just explain why the servicing limit is not moving at the same rate as the debt limit available. So what that means is essentially our revenue has gone up, which means that our debt servicing limit has also gone up. And when you look at, so that has basically gone up to $600,000. And the debt servicing has also increased $1.1 million for a net of $500,000 reduction. One of the factors in debt servicing is how long we are taking debt over. And so, for example, what this mechanism is placed by the MGA for is if municipalities are trying to take a whole bunch of debt and try and service it over 5 years or 10 years. And so the policies that we do have in place regarding debt limits and our debenture policy states that we do take it over the life of the asset, and we do also note 20 years in that policy as well. And so because, yes, we are taking on extended debt, or not extended debt, but additional debt, we are taking it over. The sustainability of servicing that debt is very favorable because of the timeline that we're doing that. So essentially, what they're trying to represent or report here is how close to that 25% of our revenue are we to servicing our debt. So a municipality cannot exceed that.
Go ahead.
Thank you for that, and I appreciate the clarity and always learning new information. I did hear, Mr. Deputy Mayor, that that debt limit is a percentage of revenue, being 150% of our annual revenue. Can administration, through you, Deputy Mayor, clarify for us, is that the MGA limit, or is that our own internal limit? Because I do understand that our internal limit is lower than the provincial stipulated limit for debt.
Yeah, I believe administration can clarify, but 1.5 would be the MGA, and I believe our internal is 80% of that, if I'm correct.
That is correct, thank you.
So 80% of 150 would be the number that we would work off of for our internal total debt limit?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Anderson and all of Council, that is correct.
Do we know what 80% of 150 is before I pull out a calculator?
120.
120, all right, thank you. School teacher, I should be able to do that. Don't teach math.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I will just see if the general manager is able to provide the answer on the transit question.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I think the asterisk should actually be under the regional and not on the Stony Plain ridership numbers, simply because the regional numbers include the enhancements that Spruce Grove made to the weekday service last year and the Sunday service. They're not able to extrapolate that out of the overall regional numbers. So we wanted to delineate that the regional numbers included aspects of service that Parkland County and Stony Plain don't currently have in service. The Stony Plain rider statistics should be 100% Stony Plain only numbers, not related to the asterisk. So the asterisk should be on that bottom graph, not the top graph.
Excellent, thank you very much. And that would make much more sense, being that we saw a 14.6% increase in our Stony Plain rider statistics, but we saw a 24.6% increase overall for the regional, which would be reasonable, understanding that there was increased service levels provided in other areas. So thank you for that. Second question that I had directly regarding those Stony Plain rider statistics. We see some large numbers, obviously, being 7,502 riders over the course of Q1. However, we know that that is individual trips, not unique riders. I'm wondering if we have any statistics in regards to the actual number of unique riders that we are servicing with the on-demand transit system.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I believe our software gives us the opportunity to do that, to drill down to that level. Again, I would have to confirm that with Jerry, the Manager of Programs and Services. But certainly I believe, and I recall previous conversations with him, is that takes some time, but we are able to identify unique users, not by name, phone number, those types of things. It's just someone that is absolutely using an app and is a unique rider from one location to another location.
Excellent, thank you very much. I would appreciate if it would be possible in future reports to identify the number of unique riders, so we can translate that to not only the number of trips that are being taken, but how many actual residents are using the transit system. I think that would be a beneficial piece of information to see in the report. Last question I have on this page is in respect to the commuter transit, the Route 560 estimated Stony Plain ridership of 14%. In discussions with colleagues with Spruce Grove Council, they have indicated that based on the fare system that is used, they have direct data at all times in order to provide us with the number of unique riders from the town of Stony Plain that are riding the 560 commuter route. I'm just wondering why we're seeing estimated riders on the 14% that our current funding model provides versus the actual numbers that we're told are available.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to yourself and the rest of the council, that information differs from what I understand. The capability of us being able to determine X, Y, Z are from each community. My understanding is the ARC card is, anyone can purchase an ARC card. It doesn't matter where they purchase it from. You could purchase, Stony Plain, a Spruce Grove resident could come here, have to do business with the town of Stony Plain, purchase an ARC card here, and we don't know if they're from Stony Plain, Parkland County, Spruce Grove. They're just purchasing an ARC card. So that's my level of understanding related to it. I can certainly circle back and find out if that is accurate, but my level of understanding and what has been communicated to me is it's very difficult for us to determine that that's absolutely a Stony Plain resident without doing a survey and confirming that.
Excellent, thank you very much, and I would appreciate if that could be circled back to council, because my understanding previous was that we required regular surveys to determine the number of Stony Plain riders that were using this, and this is where I was corrected by a colleague in stating that no, because the ARC card requires the user to then register their information, it provides them with direct data on the actual residency of the user of the system. So if we can get clarity as to which one of those statements is actually correct, and if we do have actual ridership data accessible to us, if rather than using estimated numbers, if we can have that included in the report. Mayor Choi, I believe you had another question for the same general manager?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So question, I think, on one of the slides, I didn't write it down, but I mentioned that there was 103 parking issues in this last quarter. So my question to that was, out of those 103, how many of those are business-related complaints and issues, and how many were residential issues and complaints?
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. That's page 253.
253, okay, thank you. And Deputy Mayor, I asked that question is more and more we see more home-based businesses coming in that may be considered a major occupation with zero parking requirements, et cetera. And also in terms of our land use planning as well, we're reducing kind of the widths of some of the properties that we're looking at adding. So I'm just trying to understand what is the cause of those parking issues.
Go ahead.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to the mayor, I don't have the definitive information to determine whether or not this is 100% residential or downtown parking. I would assume there were probably a combination of residential parking issues or potentially downtown parking issues. With respect to giving you an exact number, that's something I would have to do some follow-up on.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So in follow-up, that is there a possibility, like, I think this gentleman said they could do some follow-up, so can we see it at the next quarterly update? I think that helps us as we continue to update our land use planning. That'll actually provide me some information in terms of how I reconsider some of the planning requests that are coming forward.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just looking to the general manager, would it be possible to potentially delineate the parking issues in the report by residential and non-residential?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, likely. I'm not sure what level of work would be involved with going through all 103 files and then tabulating. It would be more of a manual process than an automated process.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Any more, Mayor Choi? Seeing none, any other questions from council? Seeing no more questions, I will go to Councillor Niebergall for the motion, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that the 2026 first quarter report be accepted for information.
Thank you very much for the motion. We've had great opportunity to discuss and have the presentation of the information from our administration. I think there's a few clerical things that will be updated probably before this gets published. Would that be correct? I'm seeing nodding heads. Wonderful. And so this will be published and available for the public in short order as well. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Seeing that we have 2 business items left on the agenda, we'll take a quick 10-minute recess at this time, just to give opportunity for a little bit of a break for those who may need it, and we will be back at 6:15 for the balance of our agenda. All right. Welcome back from our recess, and we are on business item 6.3. We have the Recreation Facility Project Update. Administration, and probably our busiest GM this evening, please go ahead.
All right, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So yeah, happy to give you an update on the rec facility project that is currently underway on 57th and Brickyard Drive. Let's get into it. So a quick project timeline. Not a lot of detail on this slide, but relatively what it's sharing with you is in 2024, the big things that occurred were the approval of the project, the construction award, did a groundbreaking, and then construction site work started in late 2024. 2025, a lot of stuff happened in 2025. It was a major construction year for the project, and that major construction year transitioned into 2026, and the completion of the project scheduled for the end of the year. Curling rink ice, we're scheduling that for them to be active and ready to go for their September season, and then the rest of the facility to follow shortly behind that in Q4 of 2026. So this slide, basically, there's a lot in this slide. On the left-hand side of the slide is talking mostly about what happened in 2025, and those are the high-level things that happened in 2025. And on the right-hand side of the screen is what happened in the first quarter of 2026. So if you look at the right-hand side at this point, the pre-eng building, I think you could visibly see that going up and the siding starting to be erected onto the building. A lot of the interior work was completed inside the building or is nearing completion. We do have the roof. The roof continues to be installed. You can see there's material up on top of the roof, and they're starting to put the insulation and those types of things down. Glass, I did drive by this afternoon. There were several trucks showing up with a lot of glass on the back of them. So you'll start to see some of that front space where the framing is, that will start to be filled out with glass, and that'll change the look of that building greatly. Curling slab, so they have been spending a lot of time thawing the interior of the building out on the curling side to try and get the frost out of the ground and get the water out of the ground so they can start prepping for the curling slab to go in. And the track frame, I think it's about 2/3 complete at this point. And mechanical equipment, so everything is inside the building. So all the major mechanical systems are in the peak of the building, in its own separate room, which would be on the 3rd floor of the building, in essence. This slide is basically describing what will happen moving forward in the next quarter. So there's a bit of work going on. Parking lot, so they want to get the parking lot paved so that it's a bit cleaner around the site, and a lot of that equipment that goes in, it's starting to get to the point where probably washing as much as they're going to have to wash related to the mud and dirt around there. I'd like to try to avoid that. In front of the building, there's definitely some final prep and grading. So where they had everything laid down, basically, they're starting to do some of the final prep in terms of that front part of the building. Inside, a lot of pre-eng stuff is starting to be completed. You'll see some of the bigger openings where the siding's not been placed. That's simply to get equipment in and out of the building. If they don't, we don't have a lot of garage doors on that particular facility, and getting into a double man door just isn't conducive to doing business. So you'll probably see the corners of the buildings will continue to not have siding on them until they're finished with most of that big equipment going in and out. The roof installation will continue. The windows, you'll start seeing that being installed. Complete the running track inside, and you'll see some pictures later on in this presentation related to, there's actually drywall going on and to a point where it's been painted. So there's a lot happening in that particular building. what you can see through. You can see a lot of dirt, but that center area where the administrative rooms are, the community rooms and the change rooms are progressing quite well. Again, with the field house, slab will be poured again. They're concentrating a bit more on that curling side so they can get their ice in and get their season started. But definitely the slab prep will continue with both. And from a staffing perspective, a lot of work happening there with respect to getting those support staff ready and facility staff ready to go for later this year. So just a couple pictures here. So this is the front of the building, and as you can see here, I'll just use my mouse, my cursor. All of these will be windows. This will be windows here, and on this other side, where all of these beams are, this is also glazing too. So quite a bit of glazing that's going into this building, and you're going to have some really nice views as you're standing on that second floor and looking out onto the building, onto the parking lot. This is just a bit of a closer look into the front of the building, and you can see there's quite a bit happening on this curling side. This would be the entrances and the lobby area, and in behind there is your administrative areas. This side is representing the south side, so this will be the side that is facing the school. There's a garage door that will be going in here for the curling, and this is just simply a man door, but I believe this is the man door here. So this is the south side of the building. This is interior. On this left-hand side, this is the bottom floor of the curling facility. So these windows framed out here are looking onto the ice surface of the curling club. On this side, this is into the administrative areas in terms of the office behind the administrative desk. And these are hallways within that administrative and dressing room area. This is primarily the curling club. This side here is a south side, so again, that's looking back over to the school, in the school's direction. This is looking to the north, so this block wall will actually have windows in the community rooms that will look out onto the ice surface. This would be the back wall of the curling facility. Here, you're looking at the second level of the curling facility, bottom level of the curling facility, out onto the ice surface. And this final picture here is the second level of the curling facility, looking out to the lobby, and these windows here are actually these windows in the center, which would look out onto the parking lot and to the west of the facility. Next set of pictures are on the field house side or the dry sports side. So this picture, when we did our last tour, we were pretty much standing on this concrete here, looking out. And there's a bunch of beams and not a lot of closed-in opportunity for us. This is basically being taken from that vantage point or viewpoint where we were standing on that second level, which was part of the running track. You can see these are the beams related to the running track, so the hangers. This would be the front entrance coming in, and down here is the field house. This is looking down into the entryway, so a little bit from the elevated stairs that go to the second level. And this gives you a bit of a snapshot related to the overall size of the dry space facility. This end would be the soccer field. On this side, you'd have your pickleball courts, and then in the middle would be your two multi-sport gymnasiums. We do have a walkthrough with council at 4 p.m. on June 3rd. So there'll be more than what these pictures show in terms of progression. And I think it'll give us a good on-site and first-hand ability to look at the progress of the project and how much has been done and where we're moving to next. The project is, as I said earlier in the presentation, it's on schedule. Again, we're prioritizing the curling club side just to make sure that their season can start, and then our side will follow pretty shortly after that. So schedule for sure. I have not been told that those dates has changed or slipped, and we're moving along quite well. From a budget perspective, again, we've had change orders for sure, but certainly the budget that's been approved by council, we're in alignment with achieving that budget. So All in all, as things stand today, the project is moving along well. It's moving along with great pace. GenCall is doing a great job. Their subs are doing a great job. And we're looking forward to walking you through that facility in June and opening it later this year.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the presentation. I will look to council for any questions of clarity and understanding the general manager. Councillor Loynes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Appreciate the presentation. What a difference 6 months makes from when we got to view it prior to the election to the photos shown today. Just a quick question to the general manager. You talked about being on budget. Do you know how many or if any change orders had come through for the project and what the change order cost changes were?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Loynes. Certainly, we've had roughly 70 change orders. Some of them value in actually a rebate back to us because we've deleted or the costs have come back more favorable. And some have been additions. When you're doing a project of this magnitude, sometimes you forget a light switch or you forget a tile or you forget, or they figure out once they're, an example would be a downspout or a vent trap for a plumbing vent trap. It wasn't able to be captured within a wall, so we had to do some furring to make sure that we covered it up. So those are the types of change orders that are coming out. Probably on the bigger side of a change order, site itself. We did geotechnical. Sometimes a geotechnical doesn't provide, a definitive on 100% of the property. We get into areas where the geotechnical may not be what our report said it was, and there has to be more work that's done as a result of that, and that just is a cost escalation. So we do have a contingency in place for things like that, and to date, we're managing that well.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Appreciate that. And then my last question then, this was approved prior to any tariff conversation happening within council, and I know of other projects that have recently received tariff bills. I'm just curious if we have received anything in that manner.
Go ahead.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through you to Councillor Loynes. Yes, this building did experience some of that. It is a large building with a lot of metal and a lot of what Mr. Trump or President Trump chose to put some tariffs on. So, or counter to that, we also put tariffs on stuff coming back from the States. So our pre-eng package was certainly, did come out of the United States of America. It came out before, or just, we were not able to bring it over the border because the tariffs are applied once your product comes across the border. So our building, unfortunately, traveled across the border after all of that happened. We've looked for rebate opportunities, and there doesn't appear to be any. From a small business perspective, there certainly are some, but there's some pretty strict parameters around those. So yeah, the steel component, the pre-eng building, we did look, at the point of where we signed a contract in September of 2024, they would have been signing a contract with their steel or their pre-eng person late in 2024, which tariffs weren't even being talked about in the end of 2024. So the ability for them to pivot and go to a Canadian manufacturer, which there are not many, and perhaps the pricing would have been the same with a Canadian manufacturer, or they got their steel from the States too. So the ability to pivot was just not there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councillor Niebral.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mine is just a little bit more of a comment. Appreciate the work and the updates and stuff that go into this, but also a little bit of a shout out to Metal Industry Services, who I have really appreciated watching their Instagram videos of the construction of the rec center. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, they have documented much of the fabrication of the rec center, and so it's quite neat to follow that along.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Mayor Choi.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just maybe a comment here. Just excited to see this presentation and looking forward to the actual opening of our new recreational facility center. A quick question is that I understand that we're trying to open the Westwich Curling Club first. So will there be an opportunity for us to kind of recognize that opening with our largest partner before the start of the season?
Good.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to the mayor, certainly, they're as excited as you are with respect to what's happening over there, and they've been great partners all the way through this. We continue to dialogue with them with respect to contents insurance and just getting things into the building related to their insurance claims. So absolutely, we can get both council and their board together, and we can have a celebration for sure before the building opens.
Thank you. The second question is in terms of getting ready for opening day. I've had a few businesses reach out to me in terms of sponsorship. Do we have a sponsorship package ready to go so that we can have those individuals and companies reach out to administration staff?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to the mayor, certainly we can get that out to you yourselves.
Thank you very much. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and thank you for the presentation this evening. Just to echo the comments that have been made about the excitement, I know on council, but also within the community. We had or have Westridge Curling as one of our or our biggest partner in this particular facility. And about 3 weeks ago, maybe not even. So still relatively new news, but it is posted publicly, so I feel like it's fair to share in chambers. But they underwent the process of establishing a new name. And so they'll no longer be the Westridge Curling Club, that they felt Stony Plain Curling reflects their commitment to the Stony Plain community and growing the game locally. And so pretty exciting, time for them. And, they've got lots going on. They're super excited about having a Stony Plain club again. I know it's been some time. With that being said, just a quick plug for them. They're also looking for sponsorships for rocks and those sorts of things, a chance to get your business name or family name on one of the curling rocks for the sheets there, and they're looking for partners to help with that one. So just an opportunity for community to get behind the new Stony Plain Curling. I think they dropped club from the name, so Stony Plain Curling, and to share in their history and future in our community together.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I think I saw something that they were about to, or maybe have just announced their brand new ice technician as well. And so they're moving and shaking and getting ready for that September opening. I know they're very excited. Any other questions or comments from council? Seeing none, I do just have a quick one for the general manager. You talked a lot about the building itself, talked a little bit about the parking lot itself, but we have a significant area out front of the building, or the west side of the building, between it and Brickyard Drive. I'm just wondering, is there plans for landscaping to be completed within this calendar year and some potential activation of that outdoor space for, say, skating and such in the wintertime?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, there's certainly a landscape plan for that front area. Once it's completed, we'll look at what that might best provide for us in terms of activation. When I look at, if I recall the plan, there's definitely sidewalks that will bring you to the building, and we've got some very exciting public art that will be scattered throughout that front area too, that I think the community will be quite happy with. It's very interactive. I'm looking forward to unveiling that in the fall also.
Excellent, thank you very much. I just want to highlight that, as we do have the Glen Hall Arena and the outdoor rink that's there, which have high usages for hockey, and there's not much opportunity for leisure skating in the old town area of town unless you're coming down to the park down by the 5th. So if there's an opportunity there to maybe include some leisure skating around the rec facility, I think that might be a nice touch, but I'm sure we'll take a look at that landscaping plan and see. And that was the rest of my questions, I believe, were asked and answered, so thank you very much, Council, for that. And seeing no more questions or comments, I will look to Councillor Anderson for the motion, please.
It's always nice when you get to make a motion on something you're super excited about. So thank you for this one. I'll make the motion this evening that we accept the recreation facility project update for information.
Thank you very much, Councillor Anderson. Do you see any debate or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, call to question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to our last business item of the evening, we have the Active Transportation Strategy Update. Administration, please proceed when you are ready.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And to all of council, I'm going to give you hopefully the last update of the night. This is on the active transportation strategy. So at a high level, we've got a background. So we're talking about the goals of the strategy, look at some progress updates, and then look at next steps. So as a background, active transportation is really any human-powered transportation. This includes walking, cycling, and various other forms such as e-scootering, e-bikes, etc. In terms of the benefits of active transportation, there's safety, health, environment, economic, as well as social benefits. In terms of the strategy itself, it was developed in 2020, and the goal was to provide direction for initial active transportation actions and to provide a framework for guiding future active transportation initiatives. There were a total of 6 goals. So to provide a design guide to be used for future active transportation initiatives, to increase the active mode safety, to identify areas in existing networks that don't meet current design standards, identify an active transportation network the town can work towards, to prioritize network improvements, and to stimulate active transportation growth with improved infrastructure and effective promotion. Total of 3 strategies were listed in the strategy, so my apologies here. I feel like we're talking about updates again. Infrastructure design. So again, this really focused on the design of trail transitions, bike route buffering, and trail crossings and pedestrian crossings. The second strategy was connectivity. This basically laid out a map for all the existing networks, both trails and sidewalks, and looked at where connections could be formed between them. And then in terms of the third one, to promote and enable, it's specified methodologies to encourage the usage of the town's existing network through wayfinding, amenities, lights, and things such as winterization. Specifically, in terms of some of the progress updates, there's the joint trail between Stony Plain and Spruce Grove. The sidewalk program has slowly developed some of the recommended areas to input new sidewalks. Trails have also been done as well. And ultimately, there was a design update, or the town's design standards in 2025 was updated, previously called the Municipal Development Standards, and was rebranded with the project as the Design and Construction Standards. In terms of a few places around town where some of those improvements that were specified in the strategy, along Brickyard Drive, there's now a trail on the east side. In Woodlands on 79th Avenue, just off the highway there was a trail put in on the north side of 628. Again, the Spruce Grove Trail, as noted earlier, and then sidewalks are put in along 49th Street, between 50th Avenue and 53rd Avenue, and also there's plans to put a sidewalk expansion on 49th Avenue, which is part of a Dollarama going in there. So that's something that the town has required as part of a development permit. But again, various different sidewalks and trails have been installed by the either the town or through some of the actions of developers recently on this plan. Ultimately, the next steps is to continue to implement and work through the plans, both some of the recommendations under infrastructure improvements, as well as specific trails and sidewalks as listed in the plan. Council has any questions? Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much to the manager for bringing that in here, and just look to council. Any questions or comments on the presentation? Councillor Plechko.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through to administration, thank you for the great report that we have today. However, mine's going to take away from the walking active side of it to a bit of a problem that we have on the trails today, if I could. The trails system seems to have become a new system for mini bikes and electric vehicles, I'll call them, on the trails. And I'm wondering how we address that issue through the active transportation part of it, and integrate that system that seems to have now taken over the system that's there.
Your worship, I'll maybe speak to that a bit, just maybe Deputy Mayor, just a clarification. So just, I believe, if I'll maybe paraphrase it, just a question related to, increased usage of electric vehicles, e-scooters or whatever, on the trail system, and how do we either plan or manage for that, I believe. Was that fair to? Yeah. I think one important aspect, I'll maybe get our General Manager of Community and Protective Services to speak to it. So, part of that, I believe, would just fall under, first and foremost, if they are allowed, if not, so on and so forth, so a bit of a policy choice there. Then from there, it would be a bit more of an enforcement as opposed to design standards or guidelines or, the practice thereof of where and how we construct them. I'll stop there, and if maybe our General Manager of, again, CAPS wants to speak a little bit to, how do those scooters, electrical vehicles, so on, fit within any sort of enforcement guidelines?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, over to Mr. Councillor Palechko. Definitely, we did do some work, and we had a lot of dialogue. My recollection was in the traffic bylaw that we did adopt is in its last iteration. I'd have to go back and check the date specifically, but definitely we did talk about these particular vehicles at length with respect to there is an increase. You can buy them in Costco. You can go any place and buy a scooter these days. The benefit of our bird scooters, we can tell the vendor exactly how fast we want these things to go, and they will throttle them back and govern them. With respect to the commercial purchased ones, we can't. So we do have provisions in our bylaw with respect to speed. We have provisions in our bylaw related to what's considered permittable and not permittable, because we did have some conversation again about the elderly gentleman that has a little Giro, I think it's called, where it's a scooter essentially, but it's covered, and it looks like a car. So, we had a lot of dialogue around that, and I think as the town manager just referenced quickly there, our bylaw is written with respect to the action of the person on the particular device. If they're not conducting themselves well, then certainly a violation is there, and we have the capacity to enforce that. We do have our peace officer group and our RCMP group do from time to time jump on their bikes, and they run through the trail system. Tough for us when we're in a vehicle to witness that. We do more foot patrols than we've done in the past. So certainly those are the types of deployment tactics that we've started to implement with our enforcement services day to day throughout these summer months that we can try to educate and try to start to have some positive impact on some of what you may be seeing. Definitely there's different types of bikes running around. I think yourself have identified to us they're more gas powered, not electric necessarily, but we do have electric that can go up to 50 to 60 kilometers an hour. And I've seen them on the roadway, not particularly on the trail system, but definitely over the weekend did see it going down the roadway. So again, it's the user that we would look at. We'd look at how they're using that device, and we would enforce the poor use of that particular device versus is it being used in the right manner. As we go forward, and then perhaps this is something that my colleague to the right would have more comment on with respect to design standards and looking forward to the future in terms of if this is something that we're going to continue seeing. Do we have to change a little bit with respect to our trail systems and multi-use? And is that a factor? But certainly I think that education perspective, which isn't captured in our bylaw, our CPO is doing more foot patrol, bike patrol, more awareness with our other enforcement partners with respect to these particular devices. And our understanding is the provincial government is looking at the overall Traffic Safety Act with respect to these devices being used in our province as it just continues to increase with the number of electric vehicles that are coming out today. It's not just limited to just scooters at this point.
If I could, just before our General Manager of Planning answers, I would just want to ask a bit more. So I guess I want to be a little bit more specific. You made mention of monitoring the pass during basically normal business hours. I'm referring to the non-electric stuff, more so, the motorized stuff that is taking over our pass system over the last few months. This continues to happen between probably 7 and 11 o'clock at night on a fairly consistent basis, everywhere from the pass and causing a bit of chaos in the pass to now tearing up certain areas of the parks and that we have within our community. And I'm just wondering if there's a way, possibly, that our CPOs or somebody, we could get a little more active on the pass system later on in the evenings to be able to control what is happening.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Pleshko, certainly we can target. We can definitely get our teams out there targeting, and I believe this would be one that the RCMP and some of our other partners would be keen to do also.
Thank you, appreciate that. And if our plan individual can answer that question for structure.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Pleshko and all the council, thank you for the question. With respect to the design guidelines, there's I guess I'll take it up a step, just a step up here. When we're looking at active transportation facilities in a general sense, we're planning for a multi-use for different people to access the transportation network. The goal is for alternative forms of transportation for those that want to walk, run, bike, any other means that's generally what I would say in a very broad sense, non-motorized in an active sense. I'd say we're very early in the conversation of integrating different forms of the electric e-bikes that we're seeing. The e-scooters are very new. That said, a lot of the considerations for the speeds that are being brought are somewhat already encapsulated in the width of the trails that we prescribe are now 3 meters. They're wider than the previous 2 meters that were there. So the new trails going in are wider. There is also an avid biker who is, I would say, very confident can achieve speeds of 20 to 30 kilometers an hour just on their own. And that's not to say that that they're getting up to 50 kilometers an hour, as referenced by my colleague here. It's most of the trail system, as we're planning out right now, it's something that I would say that the teams are aware that these facilities could be used that way. It's something that we're considering as the new facilities go in. I wouldn't say it's a dominant criteria though that predicts the ultimate size of the trail at this time. Though in the next 5 to 10 years, and I'll just speculate a little bit if council will allow me, is you could start to see those design standards account for that. What that could mean though is you start to see the facilities change either in width or length or types of requirements. So I don't want to speculate too far. It's something that I think, I know a lot of my colleagues in industry talk about how those shared spaces remain shared spaces with these types of vehicles. But I don't think anyone has a perfect answer for them yet, because sometimes these facilities go into places that have significant width constraints that we have to work with. So if we can't engineer the solution into these facilities, then there's either a mix of enforcement or education that we have to do with the public if the intent is to allow it for a full shared use space. So it's just a general comment I'll add. It's something we're watching. I think all communities are watching how to use these, and ultimately we do ask anyone who's using the facilities to be a good neighbor, to be a good user, and to be mindful of each other as you're using them.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That is a very good reminder. Our trail system is a multi-use trail system, and so we definitely want to make sure that we have a respect between all of the different users of that trail, behaving appropriately, and where possible, having inappropriate activities reported so that our enforcement teams have the tools in order to try and enact some of that. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and thank you for the report this evening. I appreciate some of the dialogue that's gone on, and it's interesting. I had a conversation with one of our community engagement officers actually this last week around some of the geo scooters and the enclosed scooters and that sort of thing. And one of the things that they had indicated was as mobility aids, they're actually sort of permitted wherever they need to go, and as long as they're respectful and responsible on the trail systems, that even though they look car-like, that they would be permitted to be there, which is an interesting one. They also, this weekend, were able to show off a couple of new e-bikes that they had delivered over the last few days, and were out with us at an event yesterday with those e-bikes, and they're quite excited about the opportunities that those present to be more active on the trails and so on. And so some new tools for our RCMP colleagues to work in this area, which is great. I will echo Councillor Plechko's comments, though. I have had a couple of calls specific to Willow Park, West Terra and Genesis, actually, 2 calls and 1 personal experience, quads and dirt bikes on public roads. I had a dirt bike jump out in front of me going through West Terra. We've had quads and dirt bikes parked outside of 7-Eleven in Genesis. And so certainly some concern from residents in those areas about those vehicles, if you will, being out on our trail system, and so something that I'm hearing as well. I do have a question, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and this relates to page 335. No need really to go there, just talks about maintenance of our trail systems. Back in June 2025, so pretty close to a year ago, administration was in chambers with us. We indicated, or it was indicated, that we had about 500 meters of trail system that was in very, I think the words were severe deterioration, in need of reconstruction and extensive repair, and certainly some work needing to be done there. With the active transportation strategy coming to us today, I'm just wondering, Mr. Deputy Mayor, if administration could provide us an update, on some of that trail condition work. I think it was indicated that we had some dollars set aside annually and so on. My question for today is going to be specific to the 500 or so approximate meters that were rated in the PASAR condition rating of 1 or 2 and severe deterioration, and where we stand today going into the summer season with remediation in those areas.
Thank you. Administration?
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Anderson, thank you for the question. What I'd like to just separate for a second is the active transportation strategy indicates where we have to grow the network, where we want to improve our connectivity for residents and users of the system. So the report tonight, as you correctly mentioned, does mention some dialogue on maintaining what we grow, and absolutely that's a shared reality on administration side. And also, so the report tonight is focused on where we need to put the new facilities. To your question, though, we do capture that, and as you mentioned, through our condition rating system or in projects. So we did present that in June last year, and we did give council an update as to the overall distribution of condition of the trail network last year. We do capture this work in our capital project planning, our capital planning through corporate plan. We do have a trail allocated project charter that we assign these locations. So we do have some of those areas that you mentioned that are in the category 1 or 2 in the condition rating being planned for this year. This one, the one location that we're focusing on is just it's just west of the Rotary Park access in behind the KFC and east of the 50th Street Bridge. If those are familiar, there's a number of issues, transverse cracks that are related to the trees and just the age of the trail. So that's one location that we're focusing in on this year. There are several others that are currently in the queue for being planned for future years right now. I won't get into any specific details right now unless council asks, but we are diligently working through that list in a separate program as we go forward.
Okay, and do appreciate that. I appreciate in the queue. I will, if I may, Mr. Deputy Mayor, ask for a follow-up or ask a follow-up question here. Appreciate some of the areas indicated. Those were high priority areas when this report came forward last year. When you say this year, is this something that residents can expect would be remediated early in the season to allow no, I'm going to go with safe, transportation in those areas with the improvements made, or is this something that may take until later in the season because other areas are taking priority? Now, I ask that question because I do know we have a couple of major upgrades that are happening along 44th there, and I think those are much needed, and certainly our crews can only manage so much, but just an indication on how we balance the new builds with the repair and what part of our sort of active transportation summer season, we can expect those repairs to occur.
Thank you, administration.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councilor Anderson, I don't have an exact timeline of when the construction will happen. It's intended to be this season, so the season would be anywhere between this month till September. I don't have a schedule from the teams right now as they're currently just working with getting the contracts out right now. So when I spoke with the manager about this, he was working on the tenders and getting the work out. So I don't have yet a contractor lined up, but it is something that is on the work plan for us to address.
And one final follow-up, if I may, Mr. Deputy Mayor, may not be something that council would normally see in terms of the work order on those work plans. We know what's happening. We know what's underway. This is one of particular interest, and if there is opportunity for an update to come to council when those projects are awarded, just to have an indication of when we can expect that to occur. I know I would appreciate that, and hopefully that's not asking too much of administration.
Thank you, and I would just actually add on to that, administration, we normally have a good construction updates portion of our website. Is that information going to be contained on the website?
Through Deputy Mayoral Council, yes, once we have our construction timelines, we have a pretty good process with our comms team to make sure we passed off the information onto the maps.
Excellent, appreciate it, thank you very much. Looking for any other questions or comments from council? Seeing none, I do have one myself. Obviously, again, since this report was first drafted, and I believe it was 2020, there's been some significant infrastructure changes in varying amenities that are coming online. One of being the rec center, the other actually being the cemetery. The rec center is somewhat served, and the area of the recreation center was identified in this plans, and some of those paths have been completed, upgraded, and so on and so forth. But I'm wondering, when will the next iteration or update of this plan be considered, in where we might look at a connection out to the new municipal cemetery that's opening later this year?
In response to the Deputy Mayor and to all of Council, at this point in time, we don't have a specific update plan in terms of when the active transportation strategy would be updated. It is something that we would be discussing as we go through the corporate plan process.
Okay, appreciate that. Then I do want to specifically highlight the addition of the municipal cemetery and the accessibility of the municipal cemetery. I do believe that as a part of the design plan of the cemetery, there are trail connections as consideration. And it would be, I think, prudent to start understanding what the connection of the cemetery to the town's current trail network would be, as it is designed to be a place where we would encourage residents to go visit their loved ones who are placed in that cemetery, and even a place of just quiet reflection for those in our community. So if that's something that can in some way, shape, or form be integrated as we look at our future plans and going forward, and understanding as to where that might fit in. The other question that I have this evening related to the active transportation strategy is in relation to one of our active transportation methods, being the e-scooters. We've seen them deployed for about the last 4 weeks or so in our neighboring municipality. Every now and then, a couple will pop up in Stony Plain, probably have been ridden into town, but then when you load the app up the next morning, there are none available in the town. I'm just wondering if we have an update from our contractor as to when the e-scooters will be deployed and available for residents in the town.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, the update from today from Bird Scooters is at least 20 will be in our community by Wednesday of this week, and I would expect more to show up as the week progresses.
Excellent, thank you. And then will council receive an update at the end of the season again with the usage data as we did last year?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, yeah, that's part of their contract is to provide us with the annual reports. And now that we've got the trail between Spruce Grove and Stony Plain, they'll also include that dialogue with us too.
Excellent, appreciated that. Thank you very much. Mayor Choi.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I appreciate you asking that question because I've been traveling lots in different communities throughout Canada, and I noticed that they have a lot of e-bikes there as well. So is there any consideration in terms of the conversation over last year's success of the e-scooters was consider adding the e-bike system to our community as well? Some individuals in our community have mentioned that they cannot ride a scooter, but they are okay with a bike.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do believe our vendor offers the e-bikes. Is that something available in Stony Plain, or are they only doing the scooters?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to the Mayor. Definitely last year we had e-bikes in Stony Plain. I wouldn't say their stock was as many as the riding scooters, but definitely the contract includes both bikes and scooters for Stony Plain.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, sorry, if I just go back, earlier question, you mentioned active transportation in and around the rec center, or the new rec center. And just quickly, I think council is aware, myself and one of our planning staff have been meeting periodically with a group of a couple individuals from Brickyard, and that is high on their list of questions they ask in the conversations with us. Connectivity from Brickyard, into the rec center, past the potential new French school, through Old Town South. Quite a bit of inquiry from them about that. Small sample size, but I do believe it's probably pretty reflective of a number of people in Brickyard. So we are hearing that from residents ourselves too.
Excellent, thank you very much. And with the new amenities of the pickleball courts that are being installed up by the outdoor pool and so on and so forth, I would expect that area will get busier with our active transportation community, and so glad to hear that the work continues with that. Any other questions from council? Seeing none, we'll go to Councillor Palechko for the motion, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, that the active transportation strategy update be accepted for information.
Thank you very much. Any debate or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, called to question. All those in favor? And that is carried. That moves us into item 7 on our agenda, which is council discussion, and we will start to my far right. Councillor Palechko.
Thanks. Just a couple of things this evening. First off is I want to talk a little bit about Range Road 280 from 628 and 280. Talking to several residents along that way, and just for you, that's Memorial Comp side. We have, and I've traveled that road a little bit the last little while, what we have is a number of students parking alongside the roads. When they leave, they tear up the road, they do a bit of a donut on the middle of the road, and now we have a road that's tore up. Also, there's a fair bit of traffic within the subdivision that's right there as well, similar to that. And I'm wondering if we've considered making that a no parking zone, if there's anything that we can do along that road to prevent that from being tore up as bad as it is. Now, I understand that the school does not have enough parking stalls to accommodate all those that need to be parking, but at the same time, we're disrupting that road a fair bit to the part where it's fairly, it's not fun to drive down.
Thank you. I'll send that to administration. I do believe there is no parking in Country Plains Estates, but we can get clarity.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councilor Paleschko, I'll just go from the enforcement side, and then my colleague will talk specifically about the road and parking signs. You're right, Country Plains Estate, we had the same issue, and we put up no parking signs there. We have had an active file related to that particular issue for a number of weeks now. Our CPOs are doing increased enforcement or patrols along that with respect to the driving conduct that's potentially occurring there. And we've had some internal dialogue related to the no parking and the signage perspective. So I'll pass that over to Planning and Infrastructure.
Through Deputy Mayor to all of council, just to add to my colleagues' comments, so we have had some residents reach out to our planning and engineering staff about the matter directly. So there is a dialogue happening with our staff, and they're reviewing what options can be considered to, I guess, mitigate the parking issues that are happening out there. So we've been working in and around the Memorial Comp area for a couple of years since I came to the town about some enhanced parking restrictions in different areas. One thing to consider is with parking issues that you tend to you put a parking restriction and it will sometimes mitigate the problem in the area, but moves it to another spot. So one thing that our engineering team works closely with is understanding what the concerns from the residents are. How do we address that as a medium and short term, but also where possible, how do we try and mitigate this from occurring again? So we did have some success in the Westera area a couple of years ago. This has now moved over here. We're going to go through the same process. We're currently engaging with a couple of residents right now on their specific concerns, as well as to address the comments on the condition of road. That's another question that we're talking with not just our engineering teams, but the operations teams as well.
Excellent, thank you very much, and I can actually just add to that as well that Memorial Comp does send out communications to the parents of the students quite regularly, and reminders about driving behavior and parking is often included in that information, so it is being addressed from the school division side as well. Anything further?
The concerns come from the residents that are calling in. They have called in, but they've now reached out to council members. I was at a function the other day and got asked several times about that section. So it has become a large problem within the community, and you're right, you move it from one place to another, but we just need to figure out how to curb it so that it doesn't move from one area to the other by addressing the whole area, I guess, which would include Westera and a number of those areas as well. So my second comment is gravel roads, back alleys, grading schedule. When will we see that within the community? Several of the back alleys have large potholes in them and need to be addressed, as well as several of our gravel roads. I will touch on Range Road 12 as well. That road is very, very soft within the trees there. Hasn't seen a grader to my knowledge, and I travel it fairly frequently, becoming quite potholed and quite big in the area. And doesn't dry up very well because of the trees and the overgrowth that's happening alongside of it. So I'm just wondering if you could talk about a little bit about those three things. Good.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Paleschko, thank you for the question. The weather has put a number of our regular operations a little behind. So we are finishing up. The crews are currently doing the focus on street sweeping right now, and shortly after that they'll be getting to the line marking and painting. I was speaking to when we were talking about the matter with the parking issue to the supervisor, and he's aware of trying to get some work done on the gravel roads. He doesn't have a schedule yet, but it is something that we're working to get out in short order. I don't have a time frame yet, but it is as they're catching up on their ops right now, they're going to be focusing to start moving in towards that, and you'll start to see some improvements with that.
Greatly appreciate that, and I just want to give kudos to your department. Just want to give kudos to your department. I noticed today along the highway, rather than just washing off the rock and down the road into our drains, they're actually using a new sweeper that is addressing part of that issue. So kudos to them, because it looks a lot better than it has in the past.
Thank you. Mayor Choi.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just want to highlight, I was able to attend along with Councillor Loynes, Councillor Niebergall, and Councillor Anderson, the murder the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Peoples Walk this Sunday, and organized and led by the Sky Dancer. It was great to have so many people from the community come forward just to kind of take the time out of their day to kind of recognize and honor the people that have gone missing and those that are still we're searching for, and then hopefully that we can draw awareness and kind of remove some of that stigma and impact from Indigenous peoples in our community. So definitely thank you for everybody that supported the walk. And I just wanted to say thank you to members of council for the council meeting on Monday that I was away for, and definitely appreciated the conversation around the table. Definitely excited to see the 40K speed limit reduction throughout most of the town. I think those amendments that were made by Councilor Anderson kind of addressed some of the issues that I had, and I knew that we have a good council, and then those questions that I had would have been addressed, so well done. And I think that overall adds to the increased safety level for not just traffic, but also pedestrian traffic and active transportation we talked about, because that's a fully encompassing blanketed kind of update that we're doing in terms of speed reduction. So great work, council. And just want to thank Deputy Mayor. I think you had to cover quite a few events for me when I was gone. So for that, the interview with Colliers regarding capital funding for affordable and seniors housing. Also attended the EG shareholder meeting for me as well. And then also the Meridian Housing Seniors Lodge at Spruce Grove tour. And definitely, and I appreciate your advocacy, conversation that we had to not only lobby our partners, but also lobby our MLA and MPs for different aspects that would benefit our community. So thank you for taking care of those. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and certainly want to echo Mayor Choi's comments about Sky Dancer. Certainly a very sobering event, but certainly a great response from community. But leads to our community partners that I would like to extend some gratitude this evening. Certainly as a municipality, we can't unfortunately be all things to all people, and we rely on organizations like Sky Dancer, like the RCMP, and the work that they do, like Stony Plain Curling and so on, to ensure that we can provide a wide breadth of opportunity and service to our community and the people who reside in our community, and a tremendous amount of gratitude for the role that they play to make our community what it is, which is an amazing place to live, work, and play.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Councillor Niebergall.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. A couple of things. I just want to just echo the missing and murdered Indigenous peoples, but just add on that you're encouraged to wear red as the official day is tomorrow. So Mayor Choi and I are early. As promised, the Buddy Holly and Johnny Cash concert was a hit. It was sold out crowd there. It was 900 degrees in that building, but it was well done. 23-year-old Jaden, I tell you, he is something. Fantastic performer. Is also checking off a bucket list item, performing with some friends of his in a Beatles tribute band coming up, I think, relatively soon at the Horizon stage. So check that out. I was super honored to be able to take in. Councillor Loynes and I attempted to go to the powwow on Friday night, but there was some miscommunication in dates. But I was able to go back the next day and be a part of the grand entry and watch like hundreds and hundreds of dancers there. It was like stunning to see everybody and the work and pride that goes into their regalia, and from like little, I mean, probably 2 years old upwards to, I won't even guess ages, but there was many, many decades of dancers there. The Smile campaign wrapped up yesterday, and so I know many of us were involved in some capacity there. Just a little note, there is a challenge amongst the stores in Stony Plain that they themselves compete against the other stores for selling Smile cookies. I learned this when we bought a large quantity from one store, and I didn't buy from the store I typically get my coffee from in the morning, so there were some hurt feelings there. And then lastly, we're coming up on Mother's Day, and so I just want to give a shout out to all the moms, soon-to-be moms, bonus moms, angel baby moms, animal moms, but especially to my mom. My mama, I know she is probably proudly watching tonight, as she always does on the meetings. She did attend 2 events with me this weekend. It was really nice to have her come to the powwow and as well as the walk. At 43, I still need my mama and look to my mama, so happy Mother's Day, Mom. And that's about it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Councillor Lawrence.
I want to start off with a little bit of gratitude. Councillor Anderson always tells us to do that. So tomorrow is also National Teacher Appreciation Day. So as I have 2 teachers sitting to the right of me, I would like to express my gratitude for them as we remember to show appreciation for all the hard work and dedication and time that they put in to educate our children. So thank you. And yes, I will wear red tomorrow for our Indigenous families. As well as May is a month of many things, as so many months are. It is National Mental Health Awareness Month, which is great to see that we are bringing this to the forefront for our general public. It is definitely a hot topic, and that just means that the stigma around mental health is slowly starting to go away. So I just want to put it out there, it's okay to not be okay, and you are not alone in the world, and somebody does value you. It is also National Wildfire Awareness Month. Seeing as we've had 2 alerts over the weekend, this is definitely something that is important to remember. And we have Emergency Preparedness Day on Saturday, just outside Town Hall from 10 to 3. It is great to be prepared. We talked about that 72-hour grab-and-go bag. I may have one packed for both summer and winter. No judgment, no extra shoes. But yes, definitely being prepared and learning the importance of making community connections to help you build resiliency for the disturbances, no matter how big or small. As well as, I'd like to the general manager to confirm that starting next week, we will have every green bin every week.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Loynes, you caught me flat-footed with that one, but I believe it's pretty close.
Yes.
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 For some reason, I fielded a couple of calls this past weekend that it wasn't every week, green week, and I guess people started their yard work early and were very upset. But again, also to the GM of Planning and Infrastructure, I know Treasure Hunt just ended yesterday, and I haven't given you a full 24 hours yet or notice, but could you maybe have some information regarding the large item drop-off that we provided?
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Loynes, thank you for the question. I was able to get some preliminary stats this time ahead of the meeting. So we don't yet have a full tonnage yet of how many items were picked up, but we did have 218 vehicles come through. We're still assembling some of the other information as well. So I'll probably once I have an opportunity to get all the information together, we can send something out.
Awesome, appreciate that. And then I'll look to the GM of Community Protective Services. Seeing as large item is now done and people were supposed to head over to the recycle center and drop stuff off, how much leeway or grace period are we going to give our residents who don't remove items from their front yard?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through you, Councillor Loynes, that's it's a great question. It's a difficult one because sometimes we chat with people and they didn't put it there. It's on our boulevard. Generally speaking, if there's something hanging around by the end of the week, we're having lots of conversations before the end of the week is over. We don't have a lot of tolerance with respect to how much stuff stays out over this next coming week. I think it's getting better, generally speaking, with the large item pickup over at the Public Works yard. I think more people are inclined to take it over there by the end of the Sunday. So I think we're seeing less and less, but there's certainly the stragglers that hang out around. And it's a quick knock on a door. I think for the most part, people are reasonable. If it's not gone by the middle of the week, then we're knocking on doors and asking for it to be removed. So I would say by the end of the week, if anything's out and about, it's something that we've missed or not able to get to, but generally speaking, it'll be the end of the week.
Awesome, thank you so much. And yes, I would like to also echo Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there in whatever capacity it looks like for you. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. I'll stick with the treasure hunt theme for the moment. I've wielded several complaints this year with the treasure hunt, and it does seem to be continuing to ramp up. And it relates to community appearance. It relates to the type of items that are people putting out on their lawn, going beyond a traditional reuse type item to straight up garbage and trash. Traffic, which again we addressed last meeting with the 40-kilometer-hour speed limit. I witnessed such significant instances of distracted driving over the course of the last week, because it's gone beyond the 2 or 3 days, and people are putting things out for several days beforehand now. I had a complaint actually about barbecues. Somebody put out a totally functional barbecue and somebody took the lid for scrap. So now a totally functional barbecue that was meant to be reused for somebody now can't be reused and now does have to go into the garbage for that. So I'm wondering if it's maybe a bit of a time for a rethink in how the treasure hunt occurs. We have a beautiful facility with a lot of land in the Heritage Park Pavilion and the gravel parking lot side of it there. Maybe there's an opportunity for some type of a reuse weekend where people can take their items there and we can have the dumpsters there, and if it's garbage, it can go in the garbage, and if it's, we can have appliances or furniture or something. Again, I think that's just broad spectrum suggestions, but it does seem that year over year there are more and more complaints. I would echo some of the concerns again about items sitting. Hopefully they do get cleaned up relatively quickly, and I know our enforcement teams are very good about going around and making sure, but it's seeming to extend almost to a 2-week window now, and I do see it more and more throughout the year now, where people will just put stuff out on their front lawn and say free and hope that people take it and so on and so forth. And so I'm not sure whether we're helping or hurting that situation there. I do have a question that was brought to me in regards to garage sales. And when does a garage sale turn into a home business? It was in relation to the frequency of a specific residence running a garage sale essentially every weekend. And I'm wondering, is that something that we have? Any bylaws, rules, and regulations around? How would that be managed? At what point in time do we go from, a typically widely accepted one-time occurrence to a consistent generating traffic, spilling out into alleyways, and so on type event?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I can speak to this a bit, and perhaps the General Manager at CAPS wants to maybe support something I say, or if I say something wrong, he can feel free to correct me too. A good question. It does come up from time to time. I think, I'll just go with a bit of historically, for as far as garage sales go, the majority of people, it's a Friday morning to Saturday, and then they're off and they're done. And but there has been a few instances over the years. I can think of 3 specifically. I think 2 probably within the last couple of years that seemed to be a bit more of an ongoing situation. And I can think of one a few years back at a specific address that operated beyond what would either be the regulatory allowable, or what I would argue would be a bit of a neighborly approach to reasonability. I do believe that our bylaw does speak directly to the number of occurrence. I don't know the clause. I don't know specifically. We can maybe check into that, but I do think there is a bit of a regulatory aspect to it. And what I have observed, our past practice, we usually will get concerns brought forward, maybe by council, maybe by our own staff that just notice it, or maybe through the neighborhood. And I know that we have gone to the past and said, look, these are the rules. We need you to follow them. And when we do that, they typically do. I think there's a question earlier a little bit about tolerance level to a degree, and I think, we will have a degree of tolerance in that, someone has one on one weekend, maybe the following weekend, by the third weekend, typically we might be finding out what's going on, and that's the general approach that I've seen us take. And I can say that I know there have been times in the past where we have essentially directed that it cannot occur any further. I don't know if the general manager wants to add anything further to that.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, certainly I think what the town manager is referencing, there's been some that the garage sale has just been on the front lawn for 5 months. In our opinion, that would be an unsightly under the community standards bylaw, and we would address it in that manner. We do permit garage sales. There's a time limit to which that garage sale can take place. I would assume if we're not getting complaints from the neighbor and it's being set up and taken down and it's clean and it's well done, likely we're not going to even know that they're doing multiple garage sales. But certainly when it's against the community standards, when it starts to get into more junk on a lawn for an extended period of time, over 72 hours, I think is the time frame. We would certainly be taking an enforcement approach related to from a community standards perspective.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question I have before I roll into general comment is we had a electric vehicle charger installed here at town office. I believe it was done through an ATCO grant. And we've noticed that the charging cable has been cut and stolen from it. Also noticed that similar occurred at the Westview School where the cable, I believe, was stolen multiple times and they removed the electric vehicle charger. I'm just wondering what can be done in order to prevent the theft of the cables, and is it worthwhile to have this infrastructure installed if it is going to generate this type of activity?
To Deputy Mayor, to all of council, thank you for the question. We did notice that the one at town office had been vandalized. That's been reported to our operations team, who are just seeking a repair right now. I don't yet have a timeline. It will have to be it's something that they'll have to discuss with the company and see how they can do the repair. I wasn't aware of the Westview one. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. To your question about what we can do to prevent it, it's a question I came up with our operations team. They're not exactly sure themselves. They want to talk with the manufacturer about options that may be available. At this time, the intention is to find a repair and get the charger back online. Though, like I said, we don't yet have a timeline as we're still seeking that out.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, I'll appreciate the comments from the general manager. I'll go a little bit further and say at some point, if this continues, it would be a bit of a cost-benefit analysis for us. We don't have those numbers, but it would become a cost-benefit analysis of whether our time, our effort, and X amount of dollars are required to continue. I was surprised probably. I guess I was surprised that this is a thing. I did a bit of a quick search, and there's copper wire in those things, and that's as much a reason that from what I found on the Google search basically. But that was news to me. But yeah, there would come a day when it would be a cost benefit analysis for us.
Thank you. And as a follow-up to that, as a good corporate citizen, I'd like to confirm that this was reported to the RCMP.
Through Deputy Mayor, all of council, it's only been reported internally right now. I could check back with our teams if they've made contact with our enforcement teams. I submitted it to our ops teams to address it properly, which would expect that if it's in vandalism, they're generally in good contact with our enforcement side.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Like I said, I would go beyond the term of vandalism. I would go to theft, as was mentioned, the general motivation behind that tends to be because of the value of the material that's contained in it. Again, I would hope that we are ensuring that any of these type of acts are being reported to the RCMP and that we are providing any type of footage, et cetera, that we may have of that and looking to protect the assets that are installed, particularly at town facilities, with any type of observation equipment that we can, so that we can provide adequate evidence back to the authorities for this type of unfortunate incident. Comment-wise, again, a gratitude moment. There was a pretty significant wildfire that occurred south of town here over the weekend, in addition to north of town. North of town was out of our jurisdiction, south of town was our jurisdiction. And I can tell you, I was following along. I don't even know how I came across it, but the property owner had a massive post out on social media about what was happening. And you could clearly see pictures of our crews and our trucks out there, and the kudos that this property owner gave to our crews and the protection of their home, and not only their home, but I believe it was their business as well that they did. So please ensure we pass along. Been there, done that. That is a massive task and a massive job. And unfortunately, this time of year, it is all too common. It does not matter how safe and how careful you are. Wildfire risk is real. Wildfires will happen. And I would strongly encourage anybody who has a property that could be at risk to access the free Fire Smart resources that exist out there. And in our neighbors in the county, I believe they have a great Fire Smart program where they will come evaluate your property, provide you tips and tricks and those type of things as well. So there are great resources out there in order to help mitigate those risks and help protect your property, which also in turn helps protect our crews and the teams that are out there helping everybody there. So exercise as much caution, and we do have Emergency Preparedness Day, as was already mentioned, coming up this weekend, which will highlight some of those things, as well as being that we are a rail community with a line through our town, and some of the risks that come with that, and how to be prepared in case a very unfortunate incident were to happen with that. Couple of highlights again this weekend. I was able to attend the Hike for Hospice while we had other members of council attending the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Peoples Walk. Very, very well attended out at Chikaku Lake, which was great to see. The Light Up Your Life Society does some fantastic work in our community, and they have some great initiatives that are going on. One of them that was brought forward was essentially a what they called a want list, and it was donors are donating to this fund in where when a patient comes into hospice, they're asking them, you know, is there something that would make them more comfortable? Is there just something? And it's been everything from a blanket to a teddy bear to a radio, those type of things. And so it's not large asks, it's not large items. It's typically small matters of comfort that help ease people in what tends to be the final stages of their life. The Horizon View Lodge Tour with Meridian Housing Foundation. Thank you very much, Mayor Choi, for the opportunity to attend that on your behalf. A great facility that is coming to this region that will serve a long-standing need, a very long waiting list on our Seniors Housing Foundation. So looking forward to its opening, I believe, in November, when we will get the opportunity, I'm sure, for the grand opening to see it in its completion. 102 rooms, I think it is, and so there's a lot of capacity there, but it still will not meet the wait list. And so, you know, just urge that continued support of Meridian Housing Foundation as they continue to work towards the construction of more seniors housing so people can continue to age in the community that they've called home for their entire lives. The Smile Cookie campaign caused me way too many calories, but it's for a good cause, so we will accept that for the 1 week. It was great to have an opportunity to work at our local Tim Hortons, making cookies, decorating cookies. I had a young man from West Parkland Gas with me that was his first time, and I didn't realize how seasoned of a veteran I had become at decorating Smile Cookies until I was able to show him the ropes, and we were starting to knock out trays of cookies like they were going out of style, and they were flying out the door because the competition. It was awesome to have all the staff at our local Tim Hortons as community members engaged. They knew exactly who it was for. They knew exactly what the fund was helping out, exactly how it was impacting our community. And boy, they're not just, you know, bakers and that working behind a till. They are some hardcore salespeople at Tim Hortons. So a huge thank you to all of our partners in Tim Hortons for supporting Westview Health Foundation and the mental health initiatives that they are bringing forward in our community. I believe that is everything on my list this evening. We have no closed discussions this evening, and so I will declare our meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much for your participation.